Hey, what's up, guys? Another episode of Fantastic Flick Friday. So, here I am, waiting to film the next episode, and Wingman hasn't made it yet. I'm not sure if maybe he got stopped by a train or something. Who knows, man? But anyway, it won't be long and we'll be... Whoa! What the heck? Dude!
Whoa! It's just crazy down there.
Dude, how did you even get down there or up here? What the hell is going on?
Oh, come on. You used to. You know what's going on. It's a futon. I mean, it's sort of like a bed. You know, underneath the bed, little monsters.
Oh yeah, little monsters. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Wolf, come on. Little monsters. Fantastic Flick Friday.
Man, let's review this movie. Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Man, Little Monsters.
Yeah.
You guys ever seen that one? Classic movie.
Yeah, it is awesome down there, man. You gotta try it down there sometime.
We're gonna have to go check out the monster room down there.
Definitely.
Apparently that's the only way to travel, so.
Yeah, I could probably get from here all the way to LA in like an hour.
So, Little Monsters. Have you guys ever seen that? You know, we watched it as kids, and then we watched it here recently, and you know what we figured out? That is not a movie for kids.
Yeah, they may, be a lot about kids, but not kid-friendly.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure how I got allowed to watch that, probably.
Like, come on, we used to be kids ourselves, but hey, come on.
That movie's crazy. It's got Howie Mandel in it, who plays Maurice, the monster in it. And then, oddly enough, the other movies we've reviewed, there's so many tie-ins to these other movies.
Oh, yeah.
So we have...
Yeah, the very first one we did, which was The Wizard.
Yes.
It starred Fred Savage. Fred Savage also plays in the
Little Monsters
movie.
And then, to add this all together, we watched Home Alone for Christmas, and we did the Fantastic Flick Friday review of that. And
yeah, that was our second movie. There's actually 2 people from that movie in this one.
Exactly. You'll know
coincidence? Maybe.
As the Wet Bandit himself, Mr. Stern. And funny enough, I just watched City Slickers last night, which also has Daniel Stern. So we can't get away from these people.
Maybe you're destined to watch Daniel Stern movies.
That's a really crappy destiny, honestly. The guy's funny, but I don't think that's all I want to do is watch Daniel Stern movies.
A lot of people may not realize this. The second person, though.
Yes, the
second person actually from Home Alone.
Yes.
And Little Monsters.
Yes.
Little Monsters came before Home Alone. But, okay, in Little Monsters, if you have actually seen it, Ronnie Coleman. Okay, you remember him? The bully that kept...
the
just,
fat
like, hassling Fred Savage's character.
Yeah.
Think of what kind of role he could play in Home Alone. Give him a massive growth spurt, and you get...
the bullying older brother.
Buzz. Yeah, it's the same person.
We didn't realize it until we started watching it.
And I kept saying... Was it you that kept saying that you looked familiar?
Yeah, I was like, that kid looks familiar. And we finally realized who it was.
Yeah, that's Devin Ratray.
Something. Yeah, something along those lines.
Here's a current picture, the way he is right now. Yeah, nowhere in...
He hasn't been exercising.
Definitely not.
No.
But,
it's just funny how we randomly pick some of these movies to review just because we wanted to go back and...
Little Monsters, Ronnie Coleman. Buzz from Home Alone. I mean, you can kind of see the similarities.
He's just gotten a lot fatter and a lot more nondescript.
Maybe he got a little bit lower, a little bit more lazy.
Yeah, probably. He probably didn't do anything since. We're going to have to look into that. But it's funny how we picked these movies and then they kind of all ended up having characters that played together and separately.
Yeah, but I always loved watching Little Monsters.
Yeah.
Remember the toy? I'm serious, you gotta be down there, dude.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out. That's where we'll go after this. Do you guys remember the plush doll of the little My Pet Monster doll? It was blue and it looked kind of like Maurice. It was all fuzzy and it had the horns and the big teeth.
Are you sure you're thinking Maurice and not
well, it was
James P. Sullivan from Monsters Incorporated?
Yeah, but they look similar. It looks similar. In fact, I'm going to put a picture here of the monster toy. It was My Little Monster. It was like a pet monster. Yeah. Back in the 80s.
I just don't get it. I mean, Maurice, James Sullivan.
The
one's fleshy.
Toy looks like
furry.
The toy looks like Sully from Monsters Inc. Yeah. But they got the idea of the My Pet Monster from the characters from Little Monsters.
From right there, I thought you was going to mention something about like Teddy Ruxpin or something like that.
Which I own a Teddy Ruxpin that still works in my
It
hall.
still works after all this time.
Kara has it. My daughter has it in her bedroom right now. He still works. We have the tapes for it too.
Oh man.
We talk about all things nostalgic, and I probably still have it. It's somewhere around the house.
Well, yeah. I mean, come on. Wolfe and Wingman Wednesday. What did we break out?
NES classic
my
games.
old NES console.
Yep. But the movie, we got to get back to this movie. I can talk about nostalgia. We'll do an episode about just nostalgic toys at some point.
Oh, you mean like pinball machines?
Yeah, well, or He-Man action figures.
Because there actually was a pinball machine in the movie.
Mm-hmm. He-Man
and
action
Fred's
figures.
like, you're going to tilt it, because Maurice like, like, down here, there's no such thing as tilt.
The movie, it starts out with, it seems to be a theme, a kid that's kind of being a brat, and he wakes himself up with a silent alarm in the middle of the night to go watch some girly girls on TV.
Who didn't do that?
That's true. I mean, who didn't do that? Really? who doesn't still do that? I still do that. But anyway, so
guilty.
He makes what was it? A peanut butter and onion sandwich.
Yeah,
some just horrific combination.
I can understand peanut butter and banana.
Oh,
but
man.
Onion?
Yeah, peanut butter and onion sandwich. So
I like peanut butter, I like onion, but...
So the dad, they realize, obviously the boys down there watching TV in the middle of the night, and this house they've moved in, it's all rickety old house, they just moved there. And the dad's a workaholic, and so he's getting all ticked off because, the son keeps screwing up. And that morning he goes through... They find ice cream melting in the cabinets.
Yeah, that's weird.
The sandwich. His bike ends up behind his dad's car, and he ends up wrecking the end of the bike and crushing the bike.
When Daniel Stern, the dad, Daniel Stern playing the dad, gets out of the car, he's listening to classical music. I guess it's made to zen him out.
He's trying to
down.
Yeah, because he's probably going to some crappy job like we all do. So they're getting ready, getting around all these things, and they're blaming it on Fred Savage's character. And so then we
they wouldn't blame the little brother, which actually just happens to be Fred's little brother Ben.
Little brother Ben.
Yeah, Fred Savage and Ben Savage, both in the same movie.
Boy Meets World, if you guys remember. Grew up to be in Boy Meets World, and now Girl Meets World with the ever so hot Topanga. Oh, man.
Danielle Fishel.
Oh, God. But anyway, back to Little Monsters.
Yeah, we're kind of getting off track
here. So he goes to school, and all these things, your typical school day, stuff happens. He gets in trouble.
Bully.
Yep,
Ronnie
Coleman gets in trouble with the principal, and he goes back, and...
Yeah, that remind you of anything?
Yeah.
In my office.
The nerdy principal. And so finally, he goes back, and he goes to bed that night, and... Well, instead of getting into so many of the little details, he eventually realizes that there's this monster causing mayhem for him. So
because Ben's character, Eric,
yes,
is actually the one the monster was targeting at the time.
So he starts getting all MacGyver, and he's building his door where the handle will fall off, and all these
all he
lights
did
will
was basically
come on.
unscrew it.
Yeah, the lights will come on.
But the bed, that was genius, the way he set that bed
Yeah,
up.
he sets the bed up with like these gears and everything, so that way he can flip a switch, and then the bed will fall down on top of Maurice.
You know, the brake system from his bike.
Yeah, his wrecked up bike.
You know, is fully compressed, and he had a rubber band holding it down so it would be holding up. When he cuts the rubber band, whew, boom!
Bed falls on Maurice.
Well, not on Maurice. It
keeps him from going back under to the monster world.
And he definitely has some bait for Maurice as well.
Yeah.
He had
Classic Doritos.
Doritos
like
all over
E.T. style set around the bed. And
only with E.T. it was Reese's Pieces.
Yeah.
Reese's Pieces.
Well, he pseudo captures Maurice, and he's like the first one to ever capture one of their kind. And what happens is he makes Maurice, have the sunlight and the light on him, and what happens to the monsters when the light gets on them, they start just turning into clothes, basically.
Well, before that, if they're in the sunlight, normal bright lights, they'll turn just clothes. But sunlight, first, it'll deform him.
Yes.
Because originally Maurice did not have horns, but he was in the sun,
grows horns. And so, long story short, he ends up befriending Maurice, because Maurice allows him to go to the monster world. And check out the monster world.
Yeah, it didn't take very much persuasion.
No, because he wants to get away from rules and everything, the typical kid. And he finds out down there there's
I know
no
I wanted to get away
rules
from, but I couldn't.
Yeah. There's no rules, and they're breaking stuff, and they're going to other kids' house and doing pranks and scaring people and everything. Well, this goes on for a while, and he's having a good old time, and he has a run-in with a bully monster down there, and you kind of start to find this subplot that they're trying to keep him down there.
He's a dirty old hunchback.
Yeah, he's nasty. So they're trying to keep him down there to turn him into another monster, basically.
Another little monster.
Yes, exactly. So he ends up getting out of that world when in his finds out that like when light hits him or whatever, his arm, or it was a flashlight, wasn't it? It was a flashlight.
Yeah, because he wanted security, is what he said.
And it starts making his arm disappear, and he realizes.
Wait, no, he was going out of the little tyke's bedroom.
Yeah.
Because it was actually in a baby's
they were
nursery.
wanting to scare the baby.
So he opens the door and his arm just starts disappearing.
His arm starts disappearing. So he starts having second thoughts now, because he doesn't really want to be a monster.
Right.
He likes Maurice, but he doesn't really want to be a monster. And so the leader of all the monsters, Boy, who's a very creepy looking kid.
Yeah.
And weird side note, we're watching it and I'm like, man, Boy looks really familiar. And he actually played a character in Field of Dreams. And I sat here for like 45 minutes to an hour thinking about it, trying to figure out who it was, and then I finally figured out who it was.
Oh, maybe not a bit. We was watching it for about that long when you first caught.
When I finally saw him, I was like, man, that kid looks familiar, and it finally dawned on me who he was.
Yeah, you kept thinking and thinking.
He played the young Dr. Graham, right? Yeah, young Dr. Graham in the Field of Dreams, when the old doctor runs out onto the field.
I believe so.
Runs off, or as the young character comes off the field, and
I just got a goofy, wacky personality going on right now.
He's the
I
Maurice.
could be wrong, you know. I'm just agreeing with him because he's normally right about stuff.
so they
I just want to get back down there. It's so fucking fun.
So they start realizing, man, you know, he doesn't want to be down there, and so Snick, right?
Snick
kidnaps. They find out their parents are gonna get a divorce, and so he starts.
Not really a divorce; it's more of a separation.
But he believes they're gonna get a divorce, and so Maurice shows up, and you know.
How often does it not turn into divorce?
Yeah, 99.9% of the time it does. So
it does.
They end up. He ends up. You know, he doesn't want anything to do with the monsters, and he tells Maurice, you know, he's not gonna do it and everything.
Yeah, so he saws the legs off of every single bed.
Yeah, trying to make the house monster-proof, no gateways. Well, what happens
Snick finds a loophole.
Snick finds a loophole. He opens up a hideaway bed out of a couch and kidnaps the younger brother.
Not this couch. This could actually turn, basically...
This could be a bed.
This could be a bed.
Because it is a futon.
A futon, yeah.
So he gets
Thus, my gateway.
the gateway. So the Snick kidnaps the younger brother, so that way he can force the older brother to go back to the monster world and turn him into a monster. So
little did they know, young Fred had his wits about him.
he had some friends and he had some want to
Yeah,
as
he had
far as stopping
A
him.
girl that he was like,
He was,
had a crush on.
He kind of had a crush on her, and then.
And then
the younger brother's friend.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name.
Todd.
The younger brother's.
But Fred's character always called him Toad.
Yeah. So he goes to each of their houses, and gets them to come help him, and the bully ends up.
Well,
going.
actually, Maurice went and got him.
Yeah, Maurice went and got him. So the bully ends up helping him. So you got.
Alrighty.
We got all three of them. And they go and they MacGyver again. Somehow these kids have like these awesome electronic skills, and they build these. They get all these lights and everything.
Yeah, the girl who's basically a scientific genius was wondering how in the hell he'd always flunk science when he knows so much about electricity.
Yeah, he's lazy. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's no. Yeah, I can kind of relate to that.
So they go and confront Boy and Snick. And he gives him an ultimatum. He's like, hey, here's your options. You can stay and be a monster, and I'll let everybody else go.
Yeah, like that's going to happen.
He's like, no, forget that. So they start battling, and all these toys start blowing everything up.
Yeah, little toy fighter jets.
Yeah. They start kicking their
little
butts.
tanks, off to the side.
So they get thrown in this pit.
Everything. There's even little circular souls coming through the ground.
Through the ground.
Coming right at him, just slowly.
I'd have just went and punched Boy in the face, but whatever. So they're kids, and so they end up getting thrown in the pit, and Maurice is down there with them.
Yeah.
So,
and what all is in this pit? Could it be spikes, skulls, stuff like that? No. Stuffed animals.
A bunch of stuffed animals.
Really?
Stuffed animals, I suppose. So
they're supposed to be monsters, and yet the pit is full of stuffed animals.
Would they use an old phone?
Yeah.
They use an old phone, and they end up making light with this old phone, and it's
using the wires from inside the phone with a couple pencils.
Yeah. They went
couple number 2 pencils.
They went
graphite
style.
on the inside, not lead. Yeah, pencils don't have lead; they have graphite. But putting the 2 pieces of basically, what is it? I'm actually trying to think of.
Like the copper wire from the.
As the copper wire, but actuators? No, it's not actuators.
Yeah,
there's a technical term, but I can't think of it because I keep reverting my mind back down there.
So they get this thing going, and they get light, and they use the light to turn Maurice into clothes.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
So he can slide under the door and let them back out. Well, then they go back to the school to get more supplies, and they build these like big
elaborate.
I mean, like with a bunch of car batteries and all kinds of stuff, and they just smoke.
And that's actually when they had Ronnie with them, because he actually
yeah.
Like a car battery.
They
or
smoked
something.
the monsters with these all these car batteries and wires.
Well, they definitely got Boy. Snick kind of came back.
Snick kind of started coming
back. But Maurice got his number in the end. He actually had a flamethrower.
Yeah, he torches him.
Hey, Snick! How about a light, bud?
And then it becomes the real problem. They're still stuck in Monsterland because
and sunrise is approaching. If they're caught down there,
they'll become
past
monsters.
sunlight, they're monsters. And
so they got to start running around Monsterland because in their time, they're like in Philadelphia or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think so.
It's already sunlight, so they have to start checking. They run through this big montage, run through all the Monsterland, trying to find different areas across the world so they can try and escape where it's still sunlight. Well, they end up all the way on the West Coast,
California.
In California.
Ooh,
what a surprise!
Yeah,
just like the
first one, the wizard. They were trying to get to
California. So they get to California. And they end up on the beach and
on the beach.
Yeah, like, they climb out from underneath a old ratty lawn chair that Bum's sleeping on. But he's sleeping on it so that it becomes a bed. So he tells Maurice goodbye.
Yeah. Talk about loophole.
Yeah, he tells Maurice goodbye, It's all sad, but nobody really cares. I mean, we didn't care.
To remember Maurice,
he
gives him his leather jacket. It's got all these
pins and
little
stuff
pins and and it has some military medals or ribbons that normally would go here on Maurice's. Is here.
Yeah, so I don't know what the point of that was. So they get out, and
but it wasn't your typical leather jacket either, because it was a jacket, but the sleeves were cut off. You could actually tell they were cut off.
The most absurd thing is, I mean, this whole movie is absurd, obviously, and there's all kinds of like sexual innuendos and
especially with boy.
Oh man, sexual innuendos, and then there's all kinds of like just cuss words in it and stuff that like I would not let.
One kid was actually crying because he had already been with boy and kept complaining that his knees hurt.
Yeah, there was all kinds of weird things in it.
It was a little boy.
Yeah,
Boy's an actual guy.
Yeah, like a man child.
Little kid, male kid.
Yeah, it was messed up.
Male guy, male kid.
And
the kid's knees hurt.
You spend this whole time watching this as an adult, and you're like, man, I wouldn't let my 8-year-old daughter watch this for sure. At all.
Yeah, and I don't have kids, but
I can't believe we watched this as kids. No. So they end up on the beach and they call from a payphone. Yet again, there's the payphone, because they had payphones. We didn't have cell phones at the time. So they call their mom and dad and they're like, hey, you need to come get us. He found his brother, and she's like, well, where are you at? And he tells them, California. And they're
Malibu.
Yeah. So they're across the country.
Where the hell is that? California?
They're all the way across the country. So, what do they do?
What the hell are they doing in California? How did they get there?
Instead of trying to go someplace, where they could be picked up, they just go play in the ocean. That's the end of the movie. They go play in the ocean. So their parents have to somehow figure out how to get across. And how are they going to explain all this? But we don't know, because that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, they never had a sequel either, which surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah. So that was Little Monsters. If you haven't watched it, you should probably watch it. But don't let your kids watch it, because it is not a kid's movie.
By far. It is...
Well, until the next episode of Fantastic Flick Fridays, I'm Wolf.
I'm Wingman. And I'm going to just kind of go right back down.
We're going to go check out Monsterland and hang out with Maurice.
Yeah,
see you guys later.
Yeah. See ya.
Wow, this place is awesome!
I told you.